G'day there guys, I swear these videos are more interesting than the introductions, I promise you. It's Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now if you enjoyed today's content, sit back, relax, chuck a like on the video, a prawn on the barbecue, and tell me what you think of these ones down in the comments below. Thank you. Posted by user NoAthlete4280. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not agreeing to let my husband have a baby with another woman? I, 32 female, am married to a great man James, 36, fake name, who was a sperm donor to his friend Miranda, 35 female, and her wife Vivian, 30 female. And they have a sweet little boy, and he is a very involved quote-unquote uncle. This all started before I was in the picture, and when I first started dating James, it felt a little weird at times, but grew to accept it because not all families are the same. Also, Miranda and Vivian are great. James and I have been married for a while and trying for a baby. Because of the pandemic, we decided to not actively try again until next year, but are still not using protection. Recently, Miranda approached James about being a donor again. He said that he needed to think about it and consulted me. And to be honest, I told him I was uncomfortable with the idea. Like I said, Miranda and Vivian's son was already in the picture before I came around, so I know I needed to accept it or leave. But now that I'm his wife and trying to conceive myself, I just don't think I can ever handle seeing another woman carry his baby. James understood my stance and suggested Miranda and Vivian find another donor or adopt. They refused, saying that they wanted their son to have a sibling that was related to him, and this time, Vivian wanted to experience giving birth. James still refused, saying that he couldn't do it again. He tried to take all the blame, but I guess they were able to put two and two together and started asking me why I was so against them having a bigger family. I explained my reasons, and they said that I was being unreasonable, and how my lack of pregnancy wasn't their fault. Since then, Miranda and Vivian have restricted access to their son, and I know that it's starting to take a toll on James and his family, because their son is technically the only grandchild. I know that my reasons are purely selfish, but am I really in the wrong here? Update for more info. Based on the recurring comments and questions, I wanted to clarify some things. 1. I didn't say that my husband couldn't donate sperm, not that I have any control over that. I just told him that I wouldn't be comfortable with it. 2. James signed away his rights so he can't sue for visitation or custody, and Miranda and Vivian can't sue for child support. 3. James and the child have an uncle-nephew relationship, and even though it is never said that there is a blood relation, the child shares enough physical features that makes it obvious. Strangers have even pointed this out. 4. While James's parents know that they can never publicly claim the child as their grandchild, I know that a part of them still sees him as their grandchild and hopes that one day they can. And 5. When James first donated, he was single and stated that he would be open to donating again in the future, but as far as I'm aware, there was never an explicit agreement. I'm gonna have to go with not the a-hole on this one. I think it's completely reasonable to be uncomfortable with seeing your friends carrying your husband's baby. I think the added fact that you're finding it hard to conceive a child right now adds to that pressure and adds to a little bit of the insecurity about that, and I guess it's a personal choice to be uncomfortable with it. I'm not sure that you can stop him if they do go through with it, but I feel like that could be a very heated topic within a marriage. And if I were him, I probably wouldn't go ahead with donating if my wife was uncomfortable with it, because I can't imagine the damage that I would do to my relationship. There really isn't much that I can say about this. It's a bit of a hard topic, but I imagine there's countless examples like this out in the world where things go right and things go wrong. I'm just going to go with not the a-hole on this one. Not the a-hole. Something like this needs to have the approval of both partners in the marriage. Your husband's friends don't get to demand you be okay with this no matter their reason. They are the a-holes for basically using their son as a bargaining chip in all of this, and it's frankly disgusting. Can we all just appreciate how refreshing OP's husband is? He asked his wife, took her answer, and didn't blame her when his friends asked. I read about so many crappy husbands on this sub that this was refreshing. Not just that, he was willing to take the flack for not accepting to do it. That's what got me right there. Not only did he talk it out with OP and come to a conclusion together that they were both okay with, but he even attempted to take all the heat from the other couple. Edits. I also want to add a shout out to OP for being patient with her husband and his situation with this other couple. That sounds like an absolutely crazy thing to walk into a relationship and find. And OP, after having some apprehension, was able to learn to roll with it. Good on you, OP. That kind of acceptance can't be found in everyone, and I personally admire that. I think in his case, he genuinely wasn't okay with it. It may be because his wife isn't, but I like his frame of mind. Also, what selfish a-holes these mothers are. If you couldn't have a baby, it would probably break you and your marriage to see another woman carry your husband's child. Also, they're terrible parents willing to use their child like that, and shouldn't be having any more. So selfish and rude. They're treating OP's husband like their personal stud. I think this is not only selfish, it's demeaning. Not the a-hole, Vivian and Miranda are being incredibly unreasonable by 1. Not respecting your feelings on the situation when you were literally his wife. 2. Insisting that James has to be the donor when adoption or another donor are perfectly viable options. If having the kids be genetically half-related is so important to them, they should have brought it up with James before the first kid, or just have Miranda carry again. I'm assuming James did this as a courtesy for a friend, and now they feel as if they have some sort of entitlement to his sperm. And 3, worst of all, using their fudging son as a chess piece against James and his family, who have an established bond with him, in order to manipulate him into donating again. They are willing to isolate their child from their biological family as a manipulative tactic, but are hell-bent on having their kids be related. I'm really not seeing their logic here, and they've proved themselves to be people that you probably wouldn't want in your life. I think you made the right choice here. And OP says, to be fair, before James had met me, he said he was open to giving them more sperm in the future. So I guess there's always that. Posted by user Throw Away. Titled, Am I the a-hole for trying to have my dream wedding? I have had a dream wedding date my entire life. I'm finally engaged and my fiancé and I wanted to book our wedding right away. However, my dream date is the weekend before his sister's wedding. He called his parents to tell them, and they said they thought it was too close, but that he should talk to his sister, and they would be okay with it if she was okay with it. He called his sister to tell her, and she said she thought it was too close. We booked it the next day because someone else was looking at the venue we wanted for the same day. She's very upset, and we can't wait another year because we want to start having children. Am I the a-hole for trying to have my dream wedding? Well, there really isn't too much information that I can go off on this one. I'm just going to say you've made it very clear that you don't care what your family or the sister thinks. And having kids can really be done at any point in a relationship. You realize you don't have to be married to start having children. Unless you're saving sex for marriage, which you haven't pointed out here. You've given us no reason to be on your side for this one. I'm going to say that you're the a-hole, and please reconsider your actions next time. Don't upset everyone just because you want something your way. You're the a-hole. And if you're the type of person who has had your dream wedding date picked out for your entire life, I feel so sorry for anyone who has to be involved in planning your wedding, because you are going to be a nightmare. Guaranteed, it's going to be one of those dates that nobody wants to attend a wedding on, like Valentine's Day or New Year's Eve. Personally, I feel worse for the spouse. Sorry dear, but this dream date I settled on as a child that has no significance to you or our relationship is simply more important to me than respecting your family and having a good relationship with them. OP is in it to be the bride, not his partner. You're the a-hole. Her wedding was already set. You knew she would be upset and you did it anyway. I hope you enjoy this wedding because you're about to create a lot of miserable family drama. What's important to you? Forming a good relationship with your new family-in-law or having your dream date? You have to have a relationship with these people for the rest of your life. It's a bit hopeful to state that that'll last for the rest of her life, going by just how she acts. Posted by user, Pasta is good I guess. titled, Am I the a-hole for asking my nanny who's employing who here? So I have had a nanny for 6 months. For the most part, I like her. She's great to the kids, 18 months and 5, but recently, I feel like we've had some issues where she's crossing boundaries. I don't mind getting advice, but I also feel like my house isn't being respected. For example, my kids' rooms are pretty much toy-free outside their comfort objects. I want the room to be a place of rest, not playing. I told my nanny, please don't let my daughter play in her crib. She agreed, but lately I come home and my daughter is in there with toys. We have a playpen downstairs if she needs to be contained, and the nanny is just watching her play. I gently reminded her a few times that I don't want toys in the bedroom, and she said okay, but it would happen again. Then on Monday, I saw it and said, hey, let's take her downstairs. And she snapped at me saying, she just woke up. I thought that was weird, but I let it go, figuring that it was an off day. I recently took my son's, 5, Hot Wheel tracks away because he was hitting his sister with them. This was a last resort after talking lots and getting nowhere. I put them in the hall closet and said they'd be gone for 2 days, and I let the nanny know the next day. She straight up told me she didn't think that was a good idea. I said I appreciated her advice, but that I felt it was the right course of action. I come home that night, and he's playing with them. I wait until my kids are with my husband to talk to her about it, and ask why she undermined my authority. I asked if my son had asked for the tracks or was being mopey. No, she just felt like he had been good enough to get them back. I sat her down and said that I wasn't happy with how she had been bending rules. She said she just didn't agree with them. I asked, who's employing who here? I need you to back me up. She got quiet and then left for the day. Well, today I got a text that she's quitting. She says that me throwing that I was the boss back in her face was an overstep. My husband is saying what I said was wrong too. The kids and I will miss her, but I'm torn. Am I the a-hole? Edit to add, many have found my no toys in bedroom rule weird. Let me explain. I used to split it. Half toys in son's room, half in playroom. Then he started waking up and playing with toys rather than sleeping. He got no sleep. So we moved the toys downstairs, and he's been fine ever since. They can play in their rooms, but the toys go back downstairs at bedtime. They are also not just sectioned to the playroom. They play in the den, the kitchen, the yard. They just don't have toys outside their favorite stuffed animals while sleeping. Most of my children's day is play. They are not neglected, they just sleep when it's time to sleep. Edit to add too, I also never said this is how all families should work. It's how my family works and everyone is different. Well, of course, I agree with that last sentiment there, and I feel like that is what I really take into account when reading this story. I feel like the babysitter has a different definition and a different mindset with how families should be run and how much lenience we should give kids, even when she knows that the kid will not sleep and he'll just play instead. She's been hired for a reason. Throwing the fact that OP is your boss in her face is OP's job. I don't get why you're so upset about that. This babysitter sounds overly sensitive and unwilling to do their job. I think it's for the best that they quit. I think OP needs to go find someone that will actually do their job and will actually listen to OP and not just snap at them. So yeah, I'm gonna go with not the a-hole for this one. I can't blame OP for any of their actions. I've gotta say, I would do just as much if I was in the same situation. Not the a-hole. You are the parent, not her. Unless she believes your kids are in danger, she should not undermine your authority. I agree, how old was this nanny? Is this her first time being a nanny? Even if it was, there's no excuse for undermining the parents. I started babysitting at 15, and even at the very beginning, with 0 experience, I would never have dreamed of breaking the parents' rules. Even if I hated the rules and it made things very difficult for me, I would suck it up because the parents get to make the final call for everything. I want to step in here and say that while in this specific context OP is not the a-hole and the nanny should not have went behind their back, this absolutist, the parent is always right mentality, when taken to its logical conclusion, would lead to fudging awful results if the parents were abusive or bigoted. What if the parents had a rule that they don't get to eat at all until they complete a certain task? What if one of the kids is questioning their gender identity or sexuality and is stuck with unaccepting parents? I myself am familiar with being stuck in that last situation, and I wish someone showed up to undermine my parents' authority on certain points. Maybe I'd be healthier mentally. There's a difference between abdicating for the child and undermining the parent. This nanny wasn't feeding the kids when they hadn't finished a chore. She gave the kid a toy that was confiscated as a consequence of actions. This nanny is extremely unprofessional, and if she hadn't quit, she probably would have gotten fired. And yes, I mean advocating. I made a silly mistake. And OP says, she's 22. She was a nanny for another family before mine. She's 22 and she believed she knew better than you? That's quite something. Her leaving was the right decision. She still has lots of growing up to do, not the a-hole. I agree. Let her learn the basic rules of employment somewhere else. Not the a-hole. You are the parent. You are her boss. She does not get to undermine your role as either. Agreed. Plus, she says me throwing that I was the boss back in her face was an overstep. Huh? What delusion was she living in? Did she think nanny equals mum? Or was she even remotely on the same level? Her thinking was dangerous, and Opie is lucky to be rid of her, not the a-hole. Also, she thinks that was an overstep, but sees no problem with undermining mum's totally reasonable punishments? Posted by user Throwaway910286, titled, Am I the a-hole for withdrawing my daughter's college tuition? I'm a father to a son, 15, and a daughter, 18. While we can afford basic living expenses and the occasional vacation, we are by no means rich. My daughter only has a minimum wage job, and my wife is a stay-at-home mum, so I'm the family's main source of income. Last year, when my daughter was applying to colleges, we came to the agreement that she should enroll in a community college. The universities she wanted to attend were expensive, and I felt it wasn't worth it because 1, I have 2 children to consider, and 2, she wanted to major in classical music performance and would likely end up switching majors anyway due to poor job prospects. Later, I found out that she'd applied to several universities without our knowledge and was accepted to one. I was a bit hurt that she went behind my back and spent $200 of her hard-earned money on application fees instead of using them to help our family's financial situation. But in the end, I agreed to pay 75% of her tuition, given that she switched to a more useful major. My daughter ended up attending college via Zoom due to the pandemic. Last week, I found an Amazon package of music books addressed to her, which I thought was suspicious because her new major didn't require music classes. I confronted her about it, and she confessed that she never actually switched majors. She had been lying to me the whole summer. I was extremely hurt, as she was essentially scamming me out of my money by going back on our deal and lying about her major. She had already betrayed my trust by wasting money applying to colleges that she didn't need, then again by tricking me into paying 75% of her tuition. I told her I was withdrawing my share of the tuition and that she could pay with her own money if she wanted to attend this university. She started crying, saying that she couldn't afford it on a minimum wage job and didn't want to go into debt from student loans. She said her chosen school's music program was better than the community colleges, and she didn't want to major in any other field. I told her she should have thought of all of that before lying and disrespecting me like she did. She started screaming terrible names at me and accused me of favoritism, complaining about how I was willing to buy a new computer for my son, but not pay for her college education. I explained that 1, it was because my son had never betrayed my trust, 2, he needed his own computer because he intended to major in software engineering, and 3, it's not like I never bought her anything. I paid for her clothes, extracurriculars, the band instrument that she's currently trying to major in. I gave her everything, and she's been nothing but ungrateful. My wife sided with my daughter and said that I was being unreasonable. I just said that as our household's primary source of income, I have every right to decide what to do with my money. I'd be happy to forgive and support her if she chooses a more realistic major or transfers to a less expensive school. Clarification edit. My wife has her personal reasons for not being able to work, which I don't want to state here because they'll make our family very identifiable to people who already know us. But being a stay-at-home mum is very much justified, and I don't appreciate people attacking her for it. Edit: I wasn't upset with my daughter spending $200 on application fees because I desperately needed the money. I was hurt because she did it behind my back, while knowing that I would have difficulties affording any of the colleges she applied to. She placed me in a difficult situation and jeopardized her brother's future purely on a whim. Not only that, she's also an adult living in my house without paying rent. We had a deal that she would pay whatever amount she was comfortable with every month. It's more of a symbolic gesture than anything. It was such a shock for me to learn that after all of that we'd talked about, she still prioritized a fantasy over her real family. I think you have a very interesting family dynamic going on, and I've got to say that there is a little bit of favoritism going towards the brother in this situation. Although it's not explicitly stated, the animosity you feel for your daughter currently and not really being willing to forgive her mistakes when she's young, and yet having no ill will towards the brother, kind of points me in the direction that you favor him more than her because he's less problematic. Young kids are going to make mistakes, and they're going to do these things, and they're going to go behind your back, and they're going to learn what is right and what is wrong in this world. I feel like, yes, she does suck for spending $200 when she shouldn't have. She does suck for lying to you and doing a major anyway that she's passionate in. And yes, she does suck that she wants to do something and you can't force her to do a different major because you don't agree with it. And you suck for the way you've reacted to this one, although I can't blame you. You're free to react as you want to these situations. But I'm sure she's not feeling too good about what she had to do to get what she wanted, and I think you're really just making it worse. I don't think attacking her like you are is going to change anything. It's really just going to degrade your relationship with your daughter a little bit more. So I think you really just have to accept reality as it is and stop being an a-hole, but I'm going to go with everyone sucks here on this one. Update. After reading through the comments, I've realized that my approach with the whole symbolic rent idea has caused a lot of problems. I've spoken to my daughter and set a proper rent. It's very low, as I see no point putting her into unnecessary debt, but at least now there is no more confusion over what she's expected to contribute as an adult living under my roof. We are still working out the issues of college tuition and majors. Everyone sucks here. Your daughter shouldn't have lied, and you suck because you talk about her job as helping support the family? This is confusing because it's not her job to better the financial situation of the family. You are allowed to withdraw financial support from her, but there are other options out there. But be aware that it will impact on the relationship you have with your child, just like her actions had consequences, so will yours. Everyone sucks here. Your daughter shouldn't have scammed you. Very naughty. It is also reasonable that you set a budget for your daughter, as you said that there is only so much money to go around. But as for her choice of college and major, that should be left up to her and her alone. If her college choice is a lot more expensive than you are willing to contribute, that's her problem to solve. She can take out a student loan to make up the difference like everyone else. If she chooses a major she loves but can't get a job again, that's her problem, not yours. Leave her to lead her own life and stop trying to micromanage it for her. Also, why would it be her responsibility to contribute financially to your household? Why is your wife not working? At 15 and 18, your kids are independent enough where they can pick up the slack in housework and their own chores, like laundry, cleaning, dusting, heating up leftovers for dinner, etc. Also, there are plenty of jobs for people who major in music. Teaching, concerts, orchestra instrumentalists, etc. You're the a-hole. If your family is struggling so much financially, why is your wife a stay-at-home mum? A 15-year-old and an 18-year-old don't need a mother at home all day. I don't understand why you're happy for your wife not to earn money, but feel hurt that your daughter spent $200 of her hard-earned money on application fees, instead of using them to help your family's financial situation. Your post indicates that you were easily hurt, obsessed with the concept of betrayal and respect, with archaic views about the duties of a daughter and the rights of a breadwinner. You say nothing about how proud you are to have such an ambitious and talented daughter. She shouldn't have lied, But she did so because you painted her into a corner. If she is skilled enough to major in classical music performance, her job prospects are probably excellent. He needed his own computer because he intended to major in software engineering. This really sounds like that classic of recurring crap post in which a father favors the son who wants to study something lucrative and punishes the daughter who's interested in arts and humanities. I hope it is that. Okay, and I think that's where we're going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something from these stories. Just want to say a quick shout out to my Patreon subscribers and my channel members. You guys should be on the screen right now. If you do see yourself, I want you to give yourself a little pat on the back for being amazing and supporting me on this channel, this little journey we're going on the YouTubes. I really appreciate it, and you guys enabled me to do all this amazing work. So if you do see yourself, I love your face and I'm happy to see you. Also guys, if you want to pitch in your own support, you don't have to, but channel links are down in the description below to support the Patreon, the channel membership, whatever you want to do. It's kind of like tipping me if you feel like I'm doing a good job on this channel. I will be opening up avenues for content on those in the future. Just right now I'm kind of bogged down and stuck in Ireland, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway, guys, with that said, I do hope you have a wonderful day today. Whatever you're up to, I'd love to know down in the comments below. I do hope you have a good day, night, sleep. Whatever you're up to today, tell me, and I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Bye.